Hi, welcome to this Torah. This week, even though the shul is going to be open and we're going to be having a sermon in shul this week, I felt that because the numbers are limited and not everybody can come, it'd be worthwhile sending out a sermon nevertheless. So I look forward to welcoming those who will be coming to shul, and those who cannot yet come to shul, I look forward to welcoming you soon in the future. And I thank you for taking the time to listen and to watch this video. So in this week's Sedra, we read about a phenomenon I've seen so many times with my children. There are times where children come home and they complain about certain teachers, and they say, this teacher doesn't like me. This teacher has it in for me. This teacher treats me badly. Most times they're wrong. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes the teacher actually has it in for them. But in most instances, there's something else that's going on that the Torah describes here in this week's Sedra. The Torah says, and the Torah tells us about the Jewish people sending spies. Moshe Rabbeinu is recounting the story of how the Jewish people journeyed from the land of Egypt to the journey that they're now on the way, on the cusp of coming into the land of Israel. And Moshe Rabbeinu says to them, remember when you send spies? You send the spies, they spied out the land, they had a look around, they felt it was a very good land, but it was not conquerable. And they came back and they gave the terrible report. And because of that report, you complained and you said, we're never going to be able to go into the land. And you were left in the desert for the last 38 and a half years. But the verse says the following. It goes one step further than saying that we're not going to be able to conquer the land. Rather, you said, B'sinas Hashem arsanu. You said, God hates us. This is in chapter 1, verse 27. You complained in your tents and you said, B'sinas Hashem arsanu, God hates us. And because He hates us so much, that's why He took us out of the land of Egypt. L'oses arsanu, to hand us over b'yad ha'emori, in the hand of the Amorite, lehashmidenu, who will then kill us out. And Rashi makes an interesting comment. Rashi says, you know what? God didn't hate the Jewish people. If God hated the Jewish people, He would have left them there in slavery in Egypt. He wouldn't have to schlep them out of Egypt to make all those miracles, to bring them into the desert, to make even more miracles. Why would you say that? So Rashi says, actually what's going on over here is something that is called, I'm taking my feelings and I'm projecting them on somebody else. God loved the Jewish people. But there were many in the Jewish people that had a dislike for Hashem. They didn't want the rules, they didn't want the regulations, and so they felt this deity, this power is keeping us strangled, in a stranglehold. And Rashi says, He loved you. You hated Him. It's not God that hated you. It's you that hated God, because you hated God. That's the projection that you're making of your emotions onto Him. And this is the same thing that children do. When children dislike a teacher and sometimes have issues with their teachers, they will look at us as parents and they will say, you know what? You need to help me because I have a teacher who is bullying me. I have a teacher who is picking on me. A teacher who doesn't like me. And as we said before, it can happen, but in most instances it's the other way around. The teacher doesn't dislike the student often is difficult, and the student dislikes the teacher, and he's taking his feelings, projecting them onto the teacher and saying, actually, my teacher doesn't like me. And this projecting of feelings is something we need to be so careful of. So many times we feel that other people don't like us, or other people have it in for us, etc., etc. And many times they don't even think about you. They don't even know. It's not interesting to them. They're not even looking. The famous saying goes, up to age 20, I wanted to show everybody that I didn't care what everybody else thought. From 20 to 50, I did everything to show people that I did care about what they thought. And when I reached the age of 50, I realized nobody was looking. People aren't really looking. They don't spend their emotional energy and time thinking about you, thinking about who you are, your problems and your issues. And if you're projecting those feelings onto somebody else, you need to have a look inside yourself and decide, are those really their feelings, their true feelings? Or is that my feelings that I'm projecting on somebody else? And sometimes when you change your attitude of your feelings that you're projecting on somebody else, then you can see, you can bridge that gap. And we read about, for Tisha B'Av, sinas chinam, hatred that was for nothing. What is hatred for nothing? And I think the understanding of hatred for nothing, of sinas chinam, means I hate somebody else just because I think that they hate me. But they don't really hate me. I projected my feelings on them, and they projected their feelings onto me. And in reality, each one of us thinks the other one hates the other one, and therefore we have to hate them. But if we were to come together and talk to each other, we would realize, I got nothing against you, I just think you don't like me, so therefore I don't like you. Stop projecting. Stop thinking or trying to figure out what other people think, and trying to say, I know he doesn't like me, or he does this, or she does that. Rather, have the conversations, have the communications. Look inside yourself and see, is it really them who dislike me? Or in reality, is it me who dislikes them? And when you get to understand this concept and the power of this concept and that lies with it, you'll be much happier. You'll have much better relationships, and you'll be able to thrive tremendously. Wishing you all a very good Shabbos.